A very good evening to you, all of us, and thank you for joining Speak Uganda News tonight. We are live on air on our social media platforms to Record TV Uganda on Facebook, on Twitter at Record TV UG. Thank you for joining us once again. We are live right there. We do start off with the top stories.
Supreme Court sets date to rule on Chagulanyi Museveni election petition.
We have all the
also tonight,
sitting in one room.
IGG intensifies report in democratic governance
IGG,
operations.
Lawyers.
And Makerere University students protest online studies to amid a poor system. Details and more stories in Speak Uganda tonight.
Thank you for joining this edition once again. I'm Shamim, Nabakooza and Sarah Uchrot on the other side of the sign language, taking you through the news tonight. The Inspector General of Government has intensified investigations into operations of Democratic Governance Facility DGF, a multi-billion-dollar fund backed by the European Union nations that supports the work of local groups focusing on democracy and good governance, whose operations were suspended by government recently. This was disclosed by the Deputy IGG George Bamgemerere while handing over to the Speaker of Parliament a 2019-2020 performance report indicating progress in the fight against corruption.
According to the IGG's report for the year 2019-2020, 35 public officials were arrested, 65 dismissed from service, 29 interdicted, and 35 recommended for prosecution, and 991 million shillings recovered. The corruption cases prosecuted in the same year registered a conviction rate of 57.6%. Among public officials who were convicted were 2 from Sorority Flying School, a top manager of Namboole Stadium, information technology assistant, a road desk officer of Office of the Prime Minister, senior procurement officer of the Ministry of Local Government, among others.
In total, we had 34 convictions, 19 acquittals, 6 withdrawals. But the total number of cases that were prosecuted were 59. Of these, we had the 2 officials of the Sorority Flying Schools who were convicted and sentenced to a fine of 7 million or 4 years imprisonment. Cover of 80 million, and they were also required to pay 80 million shillings to the government of Uganda and ordered not to hold public office for 10 years. There were also a number of cases in Namboole where 88 million was recovered, Arua, and other places.
In the same year, 2019-2020, the Inspectorate of Government embarked on asset recovery as one of the tools to prevent public officials from illicit enrichment and accumulation of unexplained wealth, and a total of 1.151 billion was recovered and returned to the consolidated fund properties. Worth 5.360 billion was confiscated. Another property worth 4.7 billion was restrained.
Recommended 664 for various administrative sanctions, and recovered the cash of close to 1 billion shillings. That is from the regional structures.
The Deputy IGG, George Bamgemerere, who led officials of the Inspectorate of Government to hand over the 2019-2020 performance report to the Speaker, reported that they have started investigations into the operations of the Democratic Governance Facility as they were directed by the President. He noted that they have consolidated all sister agencies in the Democratic Governance Facility probe. But
we have all the investigators sitting in one room, from the police, the DPP, the IGG, the lawyers, State House Anti-Corruption, to try and understand the issue as were directed by the President. So we think that the synergies of the different organizations is actually going to help us going forward.
The Inspectorate of Government tasked Parliament to amend the Leadership Code Act and personalize the Leadership Code Tribunal, which was established last year. According to the Deputy IGG, the tribunal is now redundant without any effective enabling law.
Recently, you vetted the Leadership Code Tribunal, which was set up, but they're actually sitting idle because their work depends on this bill. If this bill can be passed, the Leadership Code Tribunal will be able to start work.
The Speaker of Parliament, Rebecca Kadaga, on receiving the IGG's performance report, pledged to establish parliamentary committee charged with the responsibility of the Inspectorate of Government business.
Many of the agencies, general reports, and it's only the Public Service and Local Government Committee that is up to date for both their ordinary work and the annual report. So I think we shall have to create a new committee to address those issues.
Report compiled by Fred Kajibi for Speak Uganda, Record TV.
Mukono Municipality outgoing Mayor George Kajimu has today shared his insights on the ongoing abductions and disappearances of people in the country, especially in Mukono district where he is a leader. Kajimu warns that historical mistakes of political abductions that happened during the former President Idi Amin's time must not be happening in this generation. This was during an exclusive interview with Record TV's John Jimmy Musimbi at the station right here in Kamwokya.
Mukono Municipality sitting Mayor George Kajimu, in an exclusive interview with Record TV this morning, has expressed concern over the worrying abductions of people to unknown places, especially in Mukono district.
But I want to start by condemning this act, because this is something that I've experienced when I was a youth, a young boy, during Amin's time. And during that time, many people were disappearing, and were disappearing on political matters. But this also moved to another level of thuggery, where people, especially military, started getting involved in either stealing and made people to disappear and take their property, and people to think that it was political matters or security matters.
Kajimu says it's government's responsibility to protect Ugandans, and thus disappointed in the way security agencies have handled this matter.
The responsibility, prime responsibility of securing people and their property lies with the government and lies with the military and security organizations. So when something like this happens, I would expect that the government and the security organs will come in quickly, and the courts now will come in, and they will follow to see exactly what has happened. And once we have proved what has happened, the people that are responsible must actually be punished, and the whole country must see that this has been done.
Kajimu adds that should these abductions be underlooked, it could cause mistrust to the regime.
I want to say that this is a very serious warning that actually can result in a lot of issues which can bring loss of trust and confidence in the government that is in place.
John Jimmy Musimbi, Record TV, Speak Uganda.
Now moving on, the COVID-19 vaccine is to be administered in 3 phases to essential workers like security personnel, health workers, teachers, and persons above the age of 50 years, and those who have underlying health conditions. This is according to the Health Minister, Dr. Jane Ruth Acheng, as she gave an update on the status of COVID-19 in the country and the progress made so far at the media center today.
It is over 10 months since Uganda registered the first COVID-19 case, but the number of confirmed infections is 39,911 people. Confirmed deaths stand at 348 and recoveries over 14,000 people. But reports indicate that Kampala district has registered the highest COVID-19 infections across the entire country.
The cumulative number of COVID-19 confirmed cases stands at 39,911. Reported and validated COVID-19 deaths at 328 and recoveries at 14,470.
In her speech, Dr. Jane Ruth Acheng indicated that the vaccine is in process of being purchased and it will be administered to people in 3 phases, starting with health workers, security personnel, teachers, older persons, and those with underlying health conditions.
The Ministry of Health, working with the National Medical Stores, placed an order with the Serum Institute of India for 18 million doses of the AstraZeneca vaccines to commence phase 1 of the vaccination exercise against COVID-19. Will include health workers, estimated at 150,000, security personnel, 250,000, Teachers, among other essential social services providers, 550,000. Persons from the age of 50 years and above, estimated at 3,348,500. Persons with underlying health conditions, aged below 50 years, estimated at 500,000.
She said Uganda is not safe from COVID-19 yet, reason they introduced home-based care for people, and this is practiced in over 20 districts. She added that the impact of COVID-19 vaccine is not yet known.
Because one, as you heard from my statement, we do not know how long the antibodies that form in your body after infection protect you. And we don't even know how strong the protection is.
Dr. Jenruth Acheng, together with Dr. Misaki Wayengwa, have revealed why COVID-19 index has fallen from what it used to be during election campaigns.
The issue of politics and whether it did not affect COVID-19. From our statistics, it is very clear that during the campaigns, our numbers shot up. You will see that the month of October, the month of November, and the first half of December is where we had the highest number of cases and the highest number of deaths. So did politics affect? Yes, it did.
The minister has also revealed that on the 1st of February 2021, Ebola was detected in the Democratic Republic of Congo in Rutembo, and thereafter urged people of the Republic of Uganda to observe standard operating procedures to be able to curb Ebola. Peace Nabwami, Godwin Kayize for Record TV, Speak Uganda.
COVID-19 is still with us right here, so we need to keep up with our game. Supreme Court has set 18th March to give its judgment in the election petition of Kyagulanyi versus Museveni seeking for nullification of the 2021 presidential results. Now this after his lawyers asked court to adjourn the pre-hearing session, citing being in non-possession of the required evidence in this matter. Court has however set strict rules for the hearing to be made. At 10:30 a.m. today, the 9 justices of the Supreme Court, led by the Chief Justice Alphoncio Winyidolo, made their way to the designated tent for the pre-hearing session of the petition in which Kyagulanyi wants court to annul the election results that declared President Museveni the victor. In this session, grounds to make the case were supposed to be agreed on. As soon as court sat to proceed, the petitioner's lawyer Meda Luwega Segona asked court for an adjournment, attributing the request to critical affidavits that he has not yet filed in form of evidence before court, yet they are the backup of the case in court. However, their request was objected to by the respondents, led by the Attorney General, on timeliness question needed to be observed in the matter that is only accorded 45 days.
Adjourned to another convenient date as you may be pleased of the matter, including documents, some of which may not be discussed now without them attached to affidavits which are yet to be filed.
It is our opinion that those areas can be discussed and finalized now, this very morning, seeing that this was the day set for the pre-hearing.
Cautioning about time, with the 10 days of the 45 days mandated for court to deliver its judgment, the justices have adjourned the matter to 24th February for pre-hearing, directing the petitioners to use less than a week to file all the affidavits and also the respondents to hear then respond.
The petitioner will have up to Monday 23rd this month to file any affidavits that may be required in rejoinder. On the 24th, we will continue with the process you are not able to conduct today.
With limitations on appearances to deliberate in court, the parties shall make their oral first hearing on 5th March after cross-examination from the 25th to 26th February. It's here that the Chief Justice has named 18th March to give the judgment of the awaited petition.
The court will then retire and use the duration of 7th to 18th, which I think is 10 days, to write its summary judgment to be delivered on the 18th.
The petitioners indicated to court that some of their witnesses have been arrested. However, these have been cautioned against discussing the matters to the media, which is subject to court, and if need be, cautioning about facts.
Act with responsibility. This is our country. I do not own it more than you do. Nor do you own it more than I do. We own it together.
We are going to place evidence before court, and you will see that evidence. Like we've been advised, and I agree, it is good practice.
With only 35 days to give its verdict on the petition, most of the hearing sessions are to be made through written submissions. Shamim Nabakooza, Paul Musoke for Speak Uganda, Record TV. That takes us for a very short commercial break. We do return shortly with more stories.
Baby, every time I tell you a movie.
Downloading streaming DVD take kusimu yo. Win big every day with your TV. Win 200k cash every day. Buli wa moje funa. Luaso wachido kusimu sigino kiria.
Wangula buli daily with your TV channels. Win 200,000 shillings daily and more in prizes. Download the Your TV channels app and enjoy your first month free without using your data. Watch local and international channels, movies, sports, news, and Telemundo all day. Your TV channels. The power is in your hands.
Don't miss out on another great way to save with Game Store's unbeatable 25,000 shillings deals. Deals valid till 31st March. Visit your nearest Game Store for these unbeatable deals. You've got game and game's got you.
Oh, by the way, Carl, Mother will be visiting us this weekend.
Believe me, I'm counting the minutes. Eureka!
Red Bull gives you wings.
Welcome back from that short commercial break. I'm glad you're still watching Speak Uganda News. We're live here and on our social media platforms, Record TV Uganda on Facebook, on Twitter at Record TV UG. You can join the news live right there. Moving on with us tonight, the 2021 Election Observer Group has recommended reconciliation as the only solution to resolve post-election tensions. Observers under the Lecturers Union Association of Universities have today released their report, which they handed over to the Speaker of Parliament, Rebecca Ntwala Kadaga, at Parliament. The group has also faulted the electoral candidate for nominating the FDC presidential candidate, Patrick Oboy Amriat, in bare feet.
The Lecturers Union Association of Universities was among the several bodies which were cleared to observe the 2021 general elections in Uganda. Today, their observer team released the report concerning the process of the election, areas of improvement and areas of reform in election. The report has faulted the Electoral Commission on the way they conducted the nominations of presidential candidate to the extent that one presidential candidate, Patrick Oboy Amuriat, was nominated in barefoot following a scuffle with security agencies in which he lost his shoes. Observers say that it was not proper for the Electoral Commission to admit a presidential candidate in such a condition.
It was very sad that our aspiring candidate, Mr. Muria, was nominated barefoot, which was not supposed to be. There must be a guideline how nomination should be done. So some of these things, as I told you, we observed so many.
Led by the chairperson of the observer team, Dr. Francis Ochana, the team handed over their report to the Speaker of Parliament and recommended political parties to desist from conducting their primaries by lining up, claiming it is a root cause of chaos in general elections.
So there are two areas which we observe critical. One, lining caused source of problems. Secret ballot paper will be more permanent because all these things came because of primary elections. Because when we look at the areas of primary elections in our observation, we found that the problems which generate in election is because of lining.
The Election Observer report advised political actors to stick to reconciliation after elections in order to avoid post-election violence and conflicts.
So we recommend in our observation that to solve all these problems, we need reconciliation. So the nation, I think, is a foundation to handle this.
Observers have also castigated the tendency of politicians to withdraw items they donated to the public after losing elections, claiming it sparks violence.
You find most of them, they went to the extent of buying umbrellas. At the end of the day, when they fail to go through the election, they go and withdraw the umbrellas. So that's another way which is causing a lot of problems in electoral process.
The Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, Ephraim Kamuntu, blamed post-election tension to politicians who find it difficult to concede even after losing badly.
If they don't win, it must have been stolen. I hope in your observation this is not the case. People should win fairly and freely, and others should also lose fairly and freely. And I want to thank the group as a national team to observe our election.
Report compiled by Fred Kajuri for Speak Uganda, Record TV.
Moving on, the government of Uganda has received a grant worth 109.2 billion shillings from Japan International Cooperation Agency, and this is aimed at improving the national roads in refugee hosting areas of West Nile sub-region. The grant has been received by the Minister of Finance, Planning and Social Development, Matia Kasaija, who promised to give transparent accountability and ensure the money is used for an intended task.
On the 11th of February 2021, which is today, Fukazawa Hidemoto, the ambassador of Japan to Uganda, and Matia Kasaija, Minister of Finance, Planning and Social Development, signed the exchange of notes for the project to improve national road in refugee hosting areas of West Nile sub-region.
Aims to develop the socio-economic infrastructure and realize the smooth transport through improving the national roads, feed roads, and a bridge in the refugee hosting areas of West Nile.
Speaking at the grant signing ceremony, Honorable Matia Kasaija, Minister for Finance, Planning and Social Development, has vowed to be very transparent and to fully account for the money provided to accomplish the intended cause.
Through Uganda National Road Authority, she is here, where this grant will be executed to ensure that all government obligations before commencement of construction are fully met and ensure that any issue that might delay the execution of the project is handled expeditiously.
Honorable Matias said President wrote a private letter about the democratic governance facility which leaked, and added that he will come out to clarify on this next week, adding that the economic status of Uganda has started peaking.
Of course, the president wrote to me, somebody leaked that letter, why it was a confidential. You know, really, you people, you never keep secrets. So I would ask you, we will come out fully next week after we have finished consultation, including even meeting with the ambassadors and whatnot, so that we tell you what exactly is happening and what happened in the past.
Speaking at the ceremony, the ambassador of Japan to Uganda, His Excellency Hidemoto Fukazawa, applauded the government of Uganda for being hospitable, indicating that Uganda hosts the biggest number of refugees on the African continent, and also pledged to support Uganda in other projects through JICA and UNRWA.
But I do know that the local community, of course, the government of Uganda has a lot of burden. And as a member of the international community, I think we have to share some of the burden in many ways.
Alain Kajuna, Executive Director, Uganda National Roads Authority, has highlighted some of the projects that are already and those expected to be funded by the Japanese government.
We are also planning together with them Karuma Bridge, the second Karuma Bridge, as well as the Chibuye-Busega flyover that will connect with the Mpigi Busega flyover.
Peace Nabwami, Godwin Kayizi for Record TV, Speak Uganda.
Now, Makerere University students have warned the university administration of possible protests if they do not amend the online system of learning that has been adopted by the university. They say the system is unfamiliar to students in addition to being ineffective for their learning.
Online education is Z. Online education is Z. Online education is Z. Physical study. Physical study.
Students of Makerere University, led by Tumusime Joseph, have today in a press conference they held behind Makerere University premises threatened to protest against online kind of study that has been instituted by Makerere University, it having a bad history of poor performance last semester.
We have used all sorts of peaceful means. We have written hundreds of letters to your offices, but you have not recognized us in any way. We have held press conferences in one way or another, but they've not given us a platform. However, we don't want to be forced to speak the language that you understand. Makerere University, Chambogo University, to mention but a few. This is a warning to you. We wouldn't love to speak the language that you understand.
We come out to stand, they say, if they can't make any changes in their online system, then they shouldn't think about it. They should just stop. They should halt it. Or else they have to cut their functional fees, because I'm not going to sit home, pay for something I'm not using.
Learning is not favoring any of us. First of all, most of us don't have laptops. We don't have smartphones. Actually, for my case, basically last year I was affected because I was in the village and my network was so slow, it was so poor. I used to miss some courseworks, like some assignments, so just know, I even feel I have retakes in some course units.
Students are worried of the quality there will be, the system being strange and not used to many students.
Some of us, we are finalists. We are more likely to produce half-baked graduates for the first time in Makerere University because of this.
If we don't come back for online class, for physical classes, that means we are going to come back. Actually, we are going to graduate when we are half-baked. And the people we are going to teach will come back when they actually know nothing.
The students have told us that there is a confusing situation at campus because the studies have not yet kicked off, even when it's day 4, when the online kind of study was kicked off.
Well, you see, when the university communicated that we shall begin on 8th, we thought that made maybe an improvement in the learning system, that is Mwele. But up to now, they haven't revised. If you go and try to speak to some of the lecturers, they'll tell you we don't know because there is a sit-down strike, or some are telling you you're beginning on 1st March. So there is a contradiction between the university administrators and the lecturers, meaning they don't know what to do.
These have tasked the university to make a cut on functional fee if they stick on this kind of study because they're not enjoying all they were supposed to pay for.
Nothing has gone down. Actually, last semester, I was to start from last semester, that we sat for our exam. Some of them didn't come back because we communicate with our fellow students. They didn't do exams. Why? Because of the tuition. So parents were home, they didn't have money to pay because it was a lockdown, people weren't working. But the university never accepted anyone to do exam without full payment. So there has not been any deduction when it comes to tuition or functional fees.
Remember, after the presidential speech that allowed tertiary institutions to continue with studies, Makerere University rolled out to the day of 8th for Makerere University students to kick off the studies using online. Julius Tukachungurwa, Record TV, Speak Uganda.
And finally in sports tonight, the Ghana national basketball team, the Silverbacks head coach, says he's confident his team will put up a good display in the Afro basketball qualifiers in Rwanda.
On Thursday, February 18th, the Ghana national basketball team, the Silverbacks, will resume their pursuit for a place at the FIBA Afro Basketball 2021 that will be hosted in Kigali, Rwanda. Despite securing 2 wins during the first leg of the FIBA Afro Basketball 2021 qualifiers, Uganda's defense left a lot to be desired, and this is what Uganda's head coach, George Ganopoulos, says that they are trying to work on in their training sessions.
It's hard to say because we're not playing against other teams, we're just playing against each other, but what we're focusing on is keeping it simple and making sure that we clarify exactly what we're doing defensively. And we've been playing live a lot the last couple days, some long practices, and like I said, the communication's been at a high level. These guys are getting more familiar with what we're doing, the more familiar they are with each other. So that's the main difference that I've seen, is there's a lot more clarity on the defensive end about what we're doing, what we want to do, and how to do it.
Jimmy Enabu, the captain of the Silverbacks, says that so far the team is in good condition ever since they stepped in Tunisia and hope to put up a good display in the qualifiers.
Today was definitely better than yesterday, so I think we're getting our groove back, and I'm just looking forward to the rest of the camp. Well, we're going step by step. We can't focus on everything at once, so the coaching staff is breaking it down. We're doing a good job in regards to picking up what we have to pick up for the first few sessions. So, defense is what's going to win us this game. So we're taking it as serious as we can, and we'll get better as we go on.
The Silverbacks need a win from the 3 games against Egypt, Morocco, and Cape Verde to advance to the Continental Showpiece. Uganda is seeking a 3rd straight appearance at the Continental Showpiece competition after finishing 13th and 15th in 2017 and 2015 respectively. Semgenza Mustafa for Speak Uganda Sports.
9 p.m. That brings us to the end of Speak Uganda News tonight. I'm Shamim, Nabakooza and Sarah Ochrot, who have been taking you through the news. Up next is Miracles of Jesus. Stay tuned. Good night.